But fellow nerds, we are talking Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Did it live up to the Indiana Jones hype, or was it trash?
It was not trash. What are you doing? Illuminati signs there?
I was like,
it's not trash, and it's not amazing. It ranks number 3 out of the 5 movies to me, out of the 5 Indiana Jones movies.
see, I'm kind of the same way. It's like I said, the theater. It was enjoyable. I enjoyed myself at the theater. It kind of a lot of nostalgia for seeing Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom. I thought the acting was really good. I liked a lot of the action scenes, and I thought, the whole emotional end, when he's reunited with his wife after I know Doug was heartbroken over,
Shia
LaBeouf's character being
You have
being
no
killed
idea.
off screen.
Very disappointed that he wasn't the main star of this movie and that he didn't get past the fedora. How dare this movie kill him off screen and in some nameless war?
Had to be Vietnam. It was 1969. So,
Oof.
Oh
That's
yeah.
rough.
but it's
I think this.
me and both me and Doug went back and saw it today,
Mhm.
and it was better. It was definitely better the second time. If
It
you're not
was.
going into it with any expectations, see, we already knew what to expect.
Yep.
And it was better. But you know what I think they did? I actually mentioned this the other night as one of my categories, but I've never really seen it affect the movie besides James Gunn movies, and that was the music. They went to that. I noticed it today a lot. They went to that Indiana Jones theme too many times.
Yeah.
I think you got to save that for a big moment. But sometimes it was like he like went like this and looked over whatever he was
And then
at.
you just hear the do 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 do.
Yeah, and I
And
was
it's like
oh,
just like
it's too
a
much.
real quick. What is the word for it when it's like just a sting? They call it when it's like just a short clip from a larger soundtrack. They would do like an Indiana Jones sting whenever he'd be like, Dr. Jones, you forgot these. Do 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 do.
Yeah,
It's like,
and it was like too much, but it didn't ruin the movie or anything. I just thought,
it was funny to me. I know that was not the intent, but I was laughing.
And I like the fact that this was more Nazi involved. Like,
I bet you
the
did,
story.
Pete.
Hey, I'm not Stefano saying we could do it, but because Raiders of the Lost Ark started out, it was a bunch of Nazis and stuff. So it was nice that it kind of tied in, and it went back. The story started way back during World War II, near the end of it, and then obviously Mads Mikkelsen's character kind of is the villain throughout. And I thought weaving it that way was the right choice. Once again, it wasn't perfection by any stretch of the imagination, but it helped me be in the movie and be immersed in it a little bit, as opposed to like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where I'm just
With
like,
aliens?
yeah, what? And
That
even
was so cool, man. That was so cool.
even the time traveling aspects of it, because I was happy when he's like, what about Continental Divide and stuff? And so they were totally off course. They went back to the time when ancient.
Yeah, but they retconned that in like a few scenes later.
Yeah. Wait, they retconned it? They retconned it.
Yeah, because he then says later on, it was only ever supposed to take us back here. It was a one-way trip. It didn't matter what year you put in. You would always go home. That's what he said.
Oh, I don't remember that, but okay.
Yeah, he said it
Oh, yeah,
directly
he did
to.
say that. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
I believe you. You saw it today.
so like the whole continental drift thing. It was like, yeah, that would have made sense if they would have stuck with it, but then they didn't. He was just like, oh yeah, and he was talking to Socrates or whoever, Plato or Archimedes. Archimedes. That's it.
Archimedes, yeah.
He was talking to Archimedes. He goes, "Oh, this wasn't really supposed to be a time travel device. It was always supposed to take you here." Ah, okay.
Here's something. You know how
Do-do-do-do.
we were talking at the theater? Yeah, at the theater that he seemed to be superhuman, taking a lot of abuse at 80 years old. he's been punched so many times on that plane.
Yeah.
He's been shot, but then he gets to the point where he's talking to Archimedes, and she's like, "Sorry, I got to do this," and she punches him, and he's knocked out.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? That's the punch that knocks him out after everything else he's been through.
Well, because sometimes when you're not expecting a punch, it does a lot more damage. Like when you're fighting, you're trying to roll with the punches, he hits, kind of roll with it. She just clocked him, unbeknownst to him.
Yeah, but he wasn't fighting on the plane. He got hit from just talking. And on the boat, they just slugged him. He wasn't fighting back.
Dave, I have an answer for you on that.
He knew it was coming.
So, Keith, thank you for your silver lining. Always appreciated. glad that you could provide that. So I was telling the gentleman, before we started recording, that the reason actually why I went to go see Indiana Jones again today, it was one of those like don't have anything else going on. And I'm talking with my dad. We were watching the Transporter movies with Jason Statham, and he's like, "Well, you want to go see Indiana Jones? I have to talk about it tonight on the stream anyway, so might as well get refreshed." And yeah, sure, And my dad, he was kind of indifferent about it too. He was just like, it's all right. It was fine. It wasn't as good as my Indiana Jones movies. Harrison Ford was good when he was younger, and they shouldn't have made him do this. And I'm like, he had to have agreed to it too. I don't think they made him do it, Dad.
Right. Yeah.
But we were watching the Transporter movies, and when number 2 had ended, that was when we went to go see Indiana Jones. And at the end of that movie, now he's already been through like every possible gunfight moment, driving crazy. He jumped a car from one parking garage across to an entirely different parking garage, like half a mile away, and suffered absolutely no bodily damage whatsoever. But at the very end of the movie, he's got a little cut on his forehead and a little bandage covering the cut.
That for a drop of blood.
Yeah.
That was it. That was it. And I'm just like, and it finally clicked. It clicked exactly what they were trying to do with this Indiana Jones. Now, to be completely fair, I have not gone back and rewatched the old ones. I don't remember if that's what it was like. It has been very long. I have not watched them since I was a kid.
He always showed that when he got hurt, he was always limping around or always complaining that he was hurt in those movies. Like especially that scene that they recreated at the end of the movie where he said it hurts everywhere. And they were on Katang's boat in the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he took all that time to recoup. Because he was like, it hurts everywhere. It doesn't hurt here. This isn't too bad. So he was hurt and he was recovering.
Okay. All right.
So
but it just occurred to me that for this movie and also for, the movie that shall not be named, they kind of turned him into an action star. It was, to me, it was more than just plot armor. He's essentially, because he's so important to make the movie happen, nothing can happen to him that would impede the flow of the movie or would slow him down. So therefore he's got like hero armor, basically. He's impervious to anything. He was Jason Statham in Transporter.
But I mean, he needed help battling, Nazis. He wasn't always just beating everybody up.
I'm sure
he needed someone else to shoot him and all that stuff. But that's how the character has always been, They don't make movies about Fred Smith, who, not the owner of FedEx, but some guy named Fred Smith who, gets punched and knocked out and doesn't do anything. They make movies about heroes. And, it's funny because the plot armor theory only came about, I think, because of Game of Thrones. Because they were killing off main characters left and right. No one was safe on that show. So now every time, a main character is not murdered in cold blood, halfway through the movie, they're like, plot armor. He could have never lived. Well, of course he has to live. He's the star of the movie.
Oh, yeah. I never expected him to die, and that's not what I was looking for. And to me, it was the same situation, the same feeling that I had between Black Widow and Hawkeye. The same exact thing. On one hand, you've got Black Widow, again, completely impervious to everything. She's been blown up, stabbed, shot, hung,
Fell from the sky
suspended,
without a parachute.
poisoned. Yeah, everything, and she's okay. She's perfectly fine. Hawkeye takes a bit of a tumble, and he's like, and he's doing the Family Guy, my knee, I gotta put ice on. And it was like, oh, okay, that's right. He's a human being.
Yeah.
To me, just to have that little bit of realism where it's like, this man
Yeah.
is what, 70, 80 years old. Like, just a touch of realism was all I was looking for. Wasn't
just
looking
like
for him to
this
die,
vision.
just for him to be like, boy, that hurt. Oh, I can't jump the way I used to.
Instead of getting shot right here, why not just have it graze him? And that
Sure.
way it's believable that
That would have been believable. That would have worked.
you could shake off being grazed by a bullet. You know what I mean? Just make the action scenes end up a little differently. That it wasn't so gruesome that he could just get up and walk away. Just have it be less gruesome and more believable.
Well,
I
and you
will
can
say
get
that-
shot here and not go through your heart, and you can still be fine. Depending on what it hits going through. If it doesn't hit an artery, it doesn't hit your heart. You
Well,
can
he still
be
wouldn't be
fine.
pulling her
And
up
he was.
from the plane with that arm.
I mean, once again, adrenaline's pumping. You can do amazing things. I mean, you guys are wanting to be
yeah,
so.
Keith is
critical
really
of this.
reaching here. You're
Because
really
remember-
reaching, buddy.
No, I mean, I think you are. You're like, he's shot. He should be dead. He should. He
No,
can't
I
do
didn't say he
anything.
should
Didn't
be
say he
dead.
should be
You-
dead.
I know.
I
was
never said that.
exaggerating.
I said he should act
But-
like he should be like in pain or something, but he
And
wasn't.
he was in pain. He was in pain, but he was pushing through because he was the hero of the story. And then
Okay.
when he came back in time, when he got back into his own time, he was recovering. He had bandages. Obviously, a lot of doctors' help.
Yeah, it was the
It's
end
like
of the movie.
he
Of
finally,
course.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's the movie.
finally
The cut on
the
the
day
head.
was saved, and now he's getting the care for all the wounds he took. I mean, that's how
Okay.
these movies go.
Okay,
You guys want to nitpick it to death?
that's not
Just enjoy
nitpicking,
it.
but you did do your silver lining, so that's we
course.
applaud you for that.
Thank you.
There was one part that I know that Doug noticed as well, and I don't want this to be a put down session because I did like the movie, but it seemed like they got stuck when they escaped and they left Mads Mikkelsen out on the ocean, and they got back to the shore, and they were doing fine getting their supplies for the next step, and the kid just gets up and walks away and gets an ice cream, and he just happens to run into the guy who they sent going in the opposite direction. How did he recover and get there so fast? That's what Mads Mikkelsen that is. How did he figure out and get to exactly where they were so quickly?
So in watching it again today, the only thing that I can think of is they just had more resources. He had a lot more people working with him. He had a lot more money. He was able to, if you think about it, like Indiana Jones and his small crew, they were riding on like a little skip boat, right? Wasn't meant to travel that far. Who knows where they had to stop, what they had to do in order to get there. I'm thinking that Mads Mikkelsen's crew just had a lot more in the area of resources, so they were able to go where they needed to go. And I did give them a little bit more leeway because, again, he does have his little, binoculars, and he says they're not going east, they're going west, blah, 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 blah. So it's like, okay. So he
And
figured it out.
obviously, he has been studying, this style of Destiny since, the 1940s. So he would have a lot of information,
Yeah,
and
I
maybe
think he
that
had-
helped him figure out if they're heading west or if they're heading east instead of west, what could they possibly do? And they could have, worked together to figure it out.
I think they set up in the beginning of the movie that he was as big of a history nerd as Indiana Jones. Because when he was going off in this long rant about, oh my God, no, you don't understand. Hitler needs to know about this. And they're trying to tell him, like, friggin' nerd, Hitler doesn't care. He wants the super spear. He wants this thing that he knows about, not this, your little magic math dial that he doesn't, friggin' dork over here. Oh, I want to show Hitler my magic little math dial. And he's
Have
like,
you met
"You
Hitler?
guys, but you guys, I read the thing and all of my books and the scrolls and whatever, nerd. Okay. And so like you could tell like he knew what he was talking about. And so I think that's why the direction tipped him off, because Indiana Jones also knew all about, okay, that's where this goddess is, that's where this temple is, and everybody knows about this history who studies it enough. So I didn't understand it when we saw it in the theater Thursday night, but in seeing it again today, I'm like, okay, it kind of makes it, if you understand who this character is, and they did just enough development in the beginning to kind of set up, yeah, this dude knows what he's talking about. So like
Well,
seeing the direction that he's going in, I think that was enough to tip him off. And as far as how he got there quicker, I just assumed he had a faster boat. He had more
Or a
resources
plane.
to be able to
Well,
do
he
it.
didn't
They
have
got
any
short
boat. He was on the
runway.
boat that they blew up, the engine. That's where he was out in the middle of the
Oh.
ocean for nothing.
Then in that case, it was Nazi magic.
See, that's what I mean. But in the
I don't
beginning, he did say, like when he figured out that the lance was a fake,
Mm-hmm.
he walked in there and he says, you know, the colonel's like, what's going on? He goes, well, my topic, my level of expertise is in physics, but I do know that this is a fake. It's the alloy that was created after like only a couple hundred years ago, or what was it, 20 years ago or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a I guess he wouldn't be a physician, but what do they call it? Just a
Physicist.
physicist. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
So he was a physicist. So he just had an interest in archaeology, I suppose.
Well, he
Yeah, I
just had
guess
interest in the Dial of Destiny. He was only
Yeah.
studying about the Dial of Destiny because
Oh yeah,
that is
because it's
what-
all mathematics.
Yes.
Yeah. He was going to go back and change everything and win the war.
I did think I liked that when he's like, "You're going back to tip Hitler off." Oh no!
Oh, no.
I studied off his mistakes. I'm going to replace
I'm
him.
going to be the new Hitler. I'm going to out Hitler. And it's like, whoa, okay, buddy.
Tell me you're evil without saying you're evil.
Right?
I'm going to be a
whenever-
better Hitler.
Right.
When they were in the plane,
That
flying
was
up
kind of
there,
funny.
he did include Indy in his thing. He's like, this, you know, this is for because the world doesn't appreciate men like us anymore. And then when they got there and they went through, I was trying to think of a clever name for that little rift that they flew to, but I can't think of one.
The time
And
anus.
it's like, what's that?
The time anus.
Yeah, the devil's anus or whatever. They're going through it, and he's like, and he included Indy with what he said. He goes like, you know, now this is our time, Indiana, or Mr. Jones. Yeah. And I'm like, he's including him. Does he see him as like a peer? As like, you know,
I think he saw. He was like, "Listen, he was no. I don't think he had necessarily like hated Dr. Jones or Indiana. And then by the time they got to this, he was like, he knew he would be impressed by this too. Like, look, you know, we were right about this thing, and it's opening up. We're doing all this. I thought that was a nice touch. It added a little, you know, right after hearing how evil he is, he does have, you know, some respect for Indiana Jones because of all that he's done.
They also, because when we originally saw the movie, I was a little confused why he wanted to become Super Hitler. I'm just like, he didn't seem that interested in it. Like, I'm kind of surprised that was the direction that he went. But then in seeing it again today, I realized that again, in doing their little bits of character development, they do show when he's in the hotel room, when they're talking about, you know, like the whole moon landing and everything like that, and he's dealing with the agent of the United States. Can't think of her name now, but
Yeah,
like,
the
you know,
CIA
when
agent.
yeah, the CIA agent.
I don't remember having a name.
I don't remember, but in his interactions, like you could tell it's like, oh, there's the Nazisms. Okay, yep, he's a bit of a racist. Got it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he
they
did
did a
it.
good job.
That's good acting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, Mads Mikkelsen is, in my opinion, one of the best actors around. I don't know if you guys ever watched, not to get on tangent time, did you guys ever watch the Hannibal show that was on NBC?
Never
Where
did.
he played Hannibal, and Hugh Dancy played the agent that caught him. Can't remember
Really?
his name now. It was one of my favorite television shows of all time. There's only three seasons. I think they're all on Prime. But I thought, like, just the back and forth between them, like, they'd just be like sitting and talking, and it was so intense, and it was great. But you guys should watch this at some point. So it was great seeing him in this. It was nice that, you know, I think Harrison Ford did a great job. You know, he's an excellent actor. He's, you know, continuing to act at his age because he does a good job. And it was nice seeing them get a villain or an actor to play the villain that's, on the same par or a little above. I think that helped me enjoy the film. If it would have been, a less caliber actor, like if Pauly Shore was playing that person, I probably would not have enjoyed.
That's a steep drop, Keith.
Oh my God.
I was saying that for Doug because remember he was telling us he loved Biodome as a kid.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Son-in-law, Encino Man. Those are all Doug's movies.
I did. I loved them when I was a kid. They were hilarious to me. I thought like this is the peak of comedy. It doesn't get any better.
And don't forget to hit us up at Twitter, leave a comment down below, and we will see you next time on Not Your Status Quo.